Hello and welcome to Cricket Predicta powered by 1xBat and Bomeki. Despite a brilliant century from KL Rahul and fighting half centuries from Ravindra Jadeja and Rishabh Pant, Indian team could not manage to take a first innings lead against England. The first innings ended at 387 for India, exactly the score that England managed in their own first innings, meaning first innings at all square. Now, when Jadeja was batting, it looked like India would sneak ahead, but his dismissal sparked a collapse because after that, India lost 4 wickets for merely 11 runs as they folded for 387. Day 3 began with India at 145 for 3, KL Rahul and Rishabh Pant looking in command in the first session. But unfortunately, Rishabh Pant was run out at 74 at the stroke of lunch. And after that, there were some meaningful stands for India because KL Rahul first up brought up his 10th Test century, his second at Lord's, although he was dismissed soon after that. Now, Jadeja and Nitish Reddy stitched a stand of 72 runs before Ben Stokes dismissed Reddy. Jadeja brought up his third consecutive half century on the tour, a crucial knock once again for India, and added 50 runs with Washington Sundar. But when Jadeja fell, India were 11 short of taking a lead. Now, after that, the tale didn't last too long because the innings ended at 387. When England came out to bat in their second innings, tensions rose at Lord's. There were some heated exchanges between the English openers Crawley and Duckett and the Indian fielders over time being wasted. England were 2 without loss at stumps at the conclusion of day 3. Now, with the match evenly poised, attention now turns to day 4 of this crucial third test between India and England, and time now for the bowlers to step up and take charge. We're joined by John Naimbu, former Zimbabwean cricketer. KL Rahul scored a magnificent century for India, his second at Lord's. Not too long back, there were questions being raised about his position in the team. Now opening, reinstated as an opener and a senior player as well. How do you see his role and how would you reflect on that century of his?
The best way to silence your critics and people that doubt you in sport is by just performing, and that is what K. Rahul has done not only in this match but in this series. He has looked a cut above a lot. I think the only person that has looked a little bit more comfortable at the crease than KL has been the captain Shubman Gill, and you can see with the amount of runs that both of them have scored that they're looking very comfortable. And going on to KL Rahul, yes, there might have been some doubts. Yes, other people might have said he might not be fit for the team, but then that's what you just do. You just go out there, perform. He scored his hundreds in this test and in the previous test, and I think it's one of the unfortunate batters who, when you need an opener, he's there. When you need someone to bat in the middle order, he's there. When you need someone to bat at the end, he's there. When you need someone to wicket keep, he's there. He's captain before, and I think he's just one of those guys that plays for the team and does the necessary work for the team, and I'm happy that it's bearing its fruits in this current series.
Well, yes, and Rishabh Pant did Rishabh Pant things, scoring 74 runs. He kept the scoreboard moving. How important was that at that juncture of the game to ensure that the momentum remained on India's side?
Rishi Pant is that batter who always keeps us at the edge of our seats, who always entertains us, and it showed today with the inning that he scored that he scored what it takes. He can play those type of innings even injured, and he showed that a 75% fit Rishi Pant can go out there, dig deep, and score the runs in his own way. And his 70 odd was very instrumental in this inning to India posting the total that they did and keeping that match in in the balance, and it was good to see him come out and do that, because it's easy for him to just always come out and be extravagant and be flashy, even when the situation needs. But today he showed the other side of him. Injured as he was able to score a very good 70 for the team.
Ravindra Jadeja slamming 72 of 131 deliveries. Like mentioned earlier, his third consecutive half century on this tour. The assurance that he brings to the Indian batting, obviously also chipping in as a bowler. What do you have to say about that? Because he was very smart in discerning the balls to leave and the balls to attack.
I think with Jadeja, you've got a 3-in-1 player. You've got a gun fielder, one of the best, if not the best in the world. Now we're seeing Jadeja, the batter, who is managing to contribute, who is managing to bat time, who is managing to defend when needed, who can leave balls with a good judgment of where his off-stump is, who can accelerate when needs be, and then Jadu the bowler as well. So India are very fortunate to have such a player as Jadu in their setup, and he was very, very, very good in this inning, batting with Nitish Reddy to try and keep the England fielders in the sun, to keep those bowlers rotating and be patient and help his team post that score. And yes, he's showing his formidability with the bat, and he's one guy that can be picked solely as a bowler if needed, that can also be picked solely as a batter if needed, because as we can see, he's one of the most successful with bat and ball in England for India, and is very, very vital and important in that Indian team.
Now India got bundled out for 387, exactly the score that England managed in its first innings. Where do you see the game position at this juncture? Which team do you think at this point has the psychological advantage?
It's very interesting you say that and you ask that, because the scores being level means that it is now a one inning per game side. Both teams have to bet one inning. It's like they're starting afresh. It's like now they're playing like a one-day game per se, because we know that the bats bowlers will come and do bats ball. But to be interesting how well they'll look to sit, to be interesting how they want to go about this, whether they want to be able to just bat for a draw, or they want to set a significant target for the Indians to try and chase, so that they make a game out of this. But I think the Indians have done well to level that, because of the breakthroughs that the English bowlers ended up getting. But it's all fair and square now. To be important that both teams start well tomorrow, because like I said, everything is back to square. Everyone is starting afresh, and it's going to be a very interesting game to see if at all can be set up for a win, or the English can bat and concede a draw, which could not be a bad result for them. But as they say, actually, they do not play for draws. So it will be interesting how everything goes tomorrow.
And now we are joined by Paul Dennett, journalist from Australia. Let's talk about Jofra Archer. That spell of his after lunch, where he cranked up the pace. He almost averaged 150.3 km per hour, his quickest ever in Test cricket in that 4-over spell after lunch. He's making a comeback after injury, and generally fast bowlers, when they're making a comeback, they want to guard their bodies. But Jofra Archer, having not played a Test since 2021, very little first-class cricket in between, is putting his body on line.
I must say that I'd kind of got to the point of thinking maybe Jofra Archer is never going to come back. So this has been a real delight for me. I think there are two main things when an elite sports person is coming back after long injury layoffs. And one is, do they still have the magic? Are they going to be a 10% reduction of what they were, and therefore still very good, but what made them special has evaporated? Well, on that score, we can definitely say no. Jofra Archer bowling as quickly and indeed more quickly than he has ever done at Test level. The crowd behind him, the atmospherics, it felt very much like it was back in 2019 during that famous spell to Smith and Labuschagne in the Ashes. So very big tick on that one. But on the second one, it's of course the spectre of injury is still lurking, and it'll take a little while, I think, for me to feel as though Archer has overcome that. I look at Australia's Pat Cummins. For the first several years of his career, he was injured all the time, and it felt like he would be a player prone to injuries his whole career. And then suddenly he just hasn't been. For year after year after year, he has been remarkably injury-free. So it can happen. But I will need to see Archer put together several months of injury-free cricket before I can fully confirm, in my mind at least, that he's back and here to stay. But I certainly hope that he is.
Now, continuing this topic of putting one's body online and injuries, Ben Stokes leading from the front. He too was managing 90 miles per hour. He has had multiple surgeries in the last few years. In fact, was struggling with the hamstring niggle while batting as well. But with the ball, absolutely on money and is walking the talk.
Stokes is an amazing cricketer. He's one of these guys, when you look at his overall averages, they don't look quite as good as you expect them to be because he just plays so many impactful innings and bowls so many impactful spells that his career has been sort of highlighted by several match-winning performances. And I think that at the moment, it's like that ability to almost bend the game to his will. He is right on the limit now because he knows that this series against England and then the series against Australia coming up are what Bazball and his captaincy are likely to be judged on. If he beats India and this series is right in the balance, poetic that it was 1-1 and then both teams finished on exactly the same score in the first innings here of the third test. So it's this series is in the balance, and then the winter tour in Australia is obviously going to be significant. And against that, Stokes himself, there's feelings of, well, is he justified at batting in the top order or the middle order anymore? His batting is, it's been a long time since he scored a century. His injuries have meant that his bowling has become less effective. But you look at him in this game, battled so hard to get to 40 odd in the first innings, and now showing, no, I'm still a bowler that can throw myself into spells and really get it up to speeds that only the very fastest can. So it's quite something to watch.
Now, looking at the last 3 days collectively in this test, Pacers took 17 of the 20 wickets to fall. Spinners managed 2. Pacers gave away 632 runs in 113.3 overs. Spinners, on the other hand, conceded 144 in their 41 overs. Regardless of the condition of the wicket and how hot it is, when it's England, you'd expect the Pacers to have the bigger say.
I mean, to an extent, that is obviously just a function of the conditions. But I think from an overarching perspective, it does highlight the changed Indian side that we have in modern times. That in the past, it would be spin always that India would have to rely on, regardless of the conditions. Sure, they had some very decent fast bowlers over the years, but it's only been in these recent years that the final piece in the puzzle has clicked in, and that India now have, in bowlers in recent times, like Shami and like Siraj, but especially in Bumrah, have a fast bowling attack that can match and exceed other nations throughout the world. And I think that that is underlining the fact that India now, there's no longer that weak underbelly of a feeling that when they're away from home, they're going to struggle because of their lack of fast bowling. That is now one of their strengths.
At one stage, India looked in command at 376 for 6, but from there on, they lost their last 4 wickets for not much, getting bundled out for 387. Kind of deja vu to the first game, because in the first game as well, both the innings, the lower order didn't contribute much.
Well, yeah, it has the potential to be very significant, and it's been part of the theme for India during this series, especially in the first Test match. And their lower order collapses versus what England are able to do in their lower order is a significant flaw in India's cricket. I think that's probably the next thing that they need to address, that up-and-coming fast bowlers that India produce need to, from a young age, be grounded in batting better than this current Indian generation of fast bowlers have been. That tail end runs are so frustrating and so valuable, and India regularly are missing out on that with numbers 9, 10 and 11. And I think that this pitch, if it is going to deteriorate in the fourth innings, then parity on the first innings might end up looking like a little bit below par, and those extra maybe 60 or 70 runs that India's tail probably should have been able to get could prove decisive.
Thanks a lot, Paul. That was very informative. And now we are joined by Tos Rizvi, senior sports journalist. Now there was this run-out attempt made, and quite successful as well, that sent back Rishabh Pant just before lunch on day 3, and animated celebrations followed from the whole of England team, but in particular from captain Ben Stokes. That really spices up things, and we're not complaining, are we?
No, that clearly showed the frustration of Ben Stokes and the English side. I mean, the celebrations definitely suggested that they were under the Rishabh Pant was under their skin, considering the way he batted with belief, actually, the way he attacked with an injured finger when they were thinking that he won't come out to bat because he has been frustrating in scoring runs after runs in the last 2 test matches. They were wondering whether he is going to take on the bat and come onto the field and start attacking them in a similar style, and then exactly what he did. I mean, the way he batted last night was very positive in a very different, very typical Rishabh Pant approach. I mean, if you look at Ben Stokes, he had fielded 6 fielders on the leg side of Rishabh Pant, and he started bowling bouncers. But the way Rishabh Pant responded to that situation, he hit the ball out of the park above those fielders, and showed that Rishabh Pant is all about belief. He's all about character. He's all about dealing with difficult situations. It doesn't matter what he goes through. I mean, we had seen when he had that life-threatening accident where there was very, very little chances of a comeback. If there was anybody else, he wouldn't have come back. But this guy was, the way he bounced back, took on international cricket, started playing international cricket. It's not easy. Psychologically, it's very, very difficult for anybody. But then he's a cricketer. He's a tough character at the end of the day. And he showed it once again at the Lords last night. I mean, despite getting injured, a lot of the opposition expecting him not to come back on the field, and the way he came back and the way he took on the attack, the rest of the English side, which was struggling already, but thanks to KL Rahul's classy knock, Rishabh Pant again threw a statement to them that it doesn't matter whether I am injured, whether I am fit or unfit. I mean, I can stand on one leg and deliver, play with one hand and deliver, crack the whip. So that's why that wild celebration and more of that psychological war. I mean, you saw exactly at the end of the day how Shubman Gill was reacting. He was all charged up. In fact, the whole team India was charged up till the end of the day. And this will only create a great cinematic test series in the upcoming days. I mean, another 2 test matches to go. Yeah, it's going to be fun, exciting and pure cinema.
At the conclusion of day 3, things are evenly poised as it gets, because the series is also 1-1 and the 2 teams having scored identical number of runs in their first innings. Which team do you think at this point has an upper hand?
I think no, both teams are on equal terms. I mean, 387 India chased down the first inning totals, but if you look at psychological factor, India has made that impact. 387 on the first innings. I mean, it was always challenging, especially on Lord's wicket where the bowlers have their say, but especially the fast bowlers. I mean, I'm discounting the English attack considering they are not a fiery lineup that they used to be when James Anderson and Stuart Broad used to play. They used to give tough competition to Australia, a side like Australia as well. So somewhere or the other they're missing James Anderson and Stuart Broad. What else can they do with Chris Woakes and Jofra Archer? But again, I think it's India's victory right now. I mean, if you talk about the first innings, they have equaled a total which was competitive, which was challenging, which was more than respectable. I mean, especially after losing the first test, they put up a fight. In the second test, they won this match. The third test, not many believe that 387 would be India would be able to chase down, especially after the way Yashasvi got out. Shubman Gill couldn't score a big daddy 100 the way he scored in the first two games. Then, I mean, you had only KL Rahul, Jadeja and Rishabh Pant. The way India batted yesterday, fantastic, showed the belief, showed the character of the team, and especially in the absence of Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma, I mean, definitely this team is looking fresh, energized, and with a big aim to give competition, to give some tough challenges to the opposition in the home den. So I think everybody, including me, whoever doubted that Team India would not be able to put up a fight, definitely they've shown in this particular test match, especially after chasing around a first inning total of 387. I mean, kudos to these boys, these youngsters, these hungry looking batters and bowlers. Yeah, some way or the other we can say there are loopholes, and there should be loopholes, otherwise there won't be any talking point. But then again, this team particularly showed character in the first innings, and it has made the team that match very interesting, very challenging, very exciting. But then again, I say that India has the psychological wedge over England in this particular test match as far as third day is concerned. Let's see what happens on the fourth day, but I think India wins the show in the first 3 days.
Now, how crucial is the fourth day going to be, particularly the first session? What are the key things to watch out for?
Of course, it's a crucial day. I mean, the scores are level. The first inning scores are level. Fourth day is going to be crucial, especially for England, whether they can put up a challenging total that they did in the first innings. Again, it's difficult to bat on the fourth day, but it's more difficult to bat on the fifth day. So the challenge for India, I think it's more than England. It's India's. I mean, the probable chances that they should look at dismissing England under 150 or maybe under 200, because if they let out a 250 or a 250 plus 275 plus target, it's going to be difficult, it's going to be challenging. I'm sure after that 387, I think India has the belief system in them. I think they are confident enough, they have the batting to chase down any total. But then to make it more easier on a fifth day, where it becomes very, very difficult for the teams to chase down any total, I mean above 275 anywhere in the world, it's difficult on a fifth day, because it's more about psychological than the conditions. Some way or the other, I think it's India's match right now. They have to push harder, especially Jasprit Bumrah has a huge role to play in this particular test match. Akashdeep will have to come good, repeat his performance what he did in the first test match, draw some inspiration of the 10 wickets that he took. Mohammad Siraj, the workhorse of the team, will have to bowl his heart out. I think it's Team India's game. Just push a bit harder, get them, make them all out for around 175. This is your game, because if you let out 275 plus, I think the match wouldn't slip away, but then it's going to be difficult. I have faith in Team India's batting, but again, I wouldn't allow them to go over 275. Be miser in your bowling, don't give away runs. England would be playing baseball cricket right now, because they played the boring cricket in the first part. The second part, which is more needed, they are going to go all out. They are going to play with a positive approach, with a lot of intent. This is the moment. Not allow runs, you will get the wickets, and this is what the approach, Team India's approach should be. 175, that's it, or maybe at the most 200 runs.
Now, going back to day 2, where Indian bowlers picked up 9 wickets, 4 wickets in the second session alone, because at one point England were at 102 for 2. From there on, they started to 281 for 9. How do you look at Indian bowlers' performance on that day, that is day 2?
So I think it's correlated. England's bowling, who they are going under transitional phase, what we have gone through, but our batters have proved themselves, especially when Virat and Rohit are not there. James Anderson and Stuart Broad were the backbones of English cricket team. They were the ones who dismissed the opposition. Whatever the total their batters would have put, up. So I think it's the onus is on England right now, and the advantage is with Team India. If we deliver good, if we bowl at the right line, we have a chance. I mean, you're talking about day 2, 9 wickets, definitely we did wonders. But we talk about the last Test match, the collapse that Indian bowlers provided, whether it was Akashdeep, whether it was Mohammad Siraj. Without Jasprit Bumrah, India did wonders in the Test match and won that game, leveled the series. But again, this is the match, this is the moment that Team India has to seize. I mean, if you drawing example from the first innings, there was a collapse. But here, England will approach with a baseball intent player and play with a positive and attacking intent. Somewhere or the other, team in India has a chance, has an opportunity. They have the bowlers, of course. Keep the slip cotton tight. Don't drop those catches. I mean, there could be chances of another collapse, and the collapse should be below 200. I mean, here is your chance to seize the moment. This is the time. 4th day is going to be crucial. Just get them all out, seal the match, and win and take the lead in the series. So I think this is a moment that India has to capture and draw some inspiration from the last innings. But before that, draw inspiration from the last Test match. Akashdeep, remember what you did? Siraj, you have to do wonders. Just put the ball in the right areas, things will automatically happen. England, the key is England are going to play baseball cricket with a positive intent, and that is where you have a chance, which I said in the last Test match, which I said before the series. India has chances because England are going to approach the game with positive and attacking play. They played safe in the last innings, but they are going to go all out, play risky cricket, and that is where you have to seal. Don't let the runs come easily, right?
Well, that was a very interesting perspective. Thank you so much, Tos, for your insights and analysis. That's it here at Cricket Predicta. We'll be back again tomorrow with more analysis at the conclusion of day 4. Thank you so much for joining.